All right, everybody, we are live. Good, we are live. Welcome, everyone, to a very special episode, session, whatever I'm supposed to call this, about hacking your personal brand, a workshop that we're very happy to be including inside the Cloud Native Hackathon. To get started, huge shout out to everyone who's been involved in the Cloud Native Hackathon. Amazing keynotes, great sessions. This actually just kind of came up this week talking to Kunal Kushwaha, realizing, you know what, this might be a good idea. I think there's some interest here from the folks in our community. It's also a good chance to get together on a Friday and do something different. So very much looking forward to this. That being said, I wanted to let the folks know that are joining us on YouTube, if you want to get in the call, I dropped a link inside our Slack. So that way we can have more direct interaction. Just easier a little bit from a technical perspective because of the delay that we have from Zoom to YouTube. So that way, like I said, we can talk to each other more directly and see each other too. So like I said, I will be monitoring the YouTube chat in case any questions come up while we are talking. But just want to make sure that anybody who needs to can get in to make this as accessible as possible and to have as open and direct of a conversation as possible too. Also, because some of the activities we'll be doing, we'll have a time limit sort of, so to speak on that. But anyway, no big deal. Kunal, what is up, my dude? I need you to unmute.
Yeah,
there you go.
How's it going?
Good, man. Happy Friday. How's the Cloud Native Hackathon treating you?
Pretty good. We crossed 6,000 registrations. So yeah, really excited and hoping to see like what projects people will make. Yeah.
I think the thing is, you know, we were kind of talking about this yesterday, is that I think we're all already asking when's the next one, and we haven't even finished this one.
Spain, Malaysia. Spoilers.
Yeah. So no, just seeing like all the excitement and energy that's going into this. There's a ton of keynotes that I still need to watch, but very, very high level, the ones that I have watched. Also really like that the talks are pretty short and to the point. So you don't feel like you got to sit through, an hour's worth of something to make sense of it or to get anything out of it. But this, this element of what we're doing today is also a part of our new intern application process. Not that it's a make or break, but it's just a way for people to get to know us better, get to know themselves better, and make sure that we have the right match. So with that being said, Kunal, I want to ask you, have you ever done any, work on your personal brand, sitting down and taking a look at, what you want to be about and what you're doing?
I'm a huge advocate for personal branding. I believe it sort of like happened naturally. I didn't do it okay, I want to make my own personal brand or whatever. It sort of like happened naturally, and I saw like it had a lot of benefits. I mean, I got to meet some amazing folks, like you. Personal branding is all about getting like recognized for the good work you do, connecting with people and finding opportunities. So I got my role at Sivo via networking with Sanyam, for example. So personal branding helped me over there.
I think a good point with that too is that you're obviously a very good case of someone who's proactive. And I think I want everyone to understand that is that you can be an introvert, you can be an extrovert, you can be more social or less social, but in all of those capacities, you can still be proactive. You just have to be proactive in your own way. So that's definitely want to invite some people to do. So we're going to say something else, Kunal?
No, that's it. Let's invite some folks. Yeah. Let's get some questions.
So like I said, you'll see, I'm going to start sharing my screen. I have a very basic presentation that we're going to be following today. Mostly just going to be copying and pasting stuff from the presentation and put it in the chat. So what I want you to do, the first thing that I need all of you to do is just open a blank document. It can be Google Docs, it can be Pages. I don't care what it is. Just open a blank document because we want you to be taking notes and writing stuff down while we're talking, all right? This is going to be very hands-on, very practical. While we're doing this, we want you to write stuff down so that at the end, you'll have a nice document with lots of stuff in there that you can go in a little bit deeper and see like, okay, this is what I'm about. This is what I want to be working on. These are the next steps that I want to be taking. These are the things we want to be thinking about. Today, where this is going to be short and sweet, we planned an hour. It may go faster depending on the questions that we have and things like that are going on. But like I said, we really want this to be practical. So when you can, everybody open a document. Just going to repeat to the folks that are joining us online, you can jump in our Slack and join the call directly if you want to have more direct interaction. If you prefer to do it from YouTube, that's totally fine. We'll be monitoring the chat there as well. That being said, though, I'm going to start sharing my screen. Let me, 1 second. There we go. So cool. Good. Where are you? There we go. All right. So Kunal, let me know when you can see my screen.
I can see it.
Perfect. So as you can see, pretty straightforward. Have this wonderful social card that the amazing folks at Cloud Native Hackathon made. Hacking your personal brand. All right. This is what we're going to be focusing on today. Remember, if you have questions, just drop them here in the chat, either on YouTube or on Zoom directly. All right, so we can get to them. At any point in time, if you have any questions or any doubts or things aren't clear, also at different points in time, I will invite you to turn on your microphones and share with us what you've written down. We want this to be as interactive as possible. All right, I do not want this to be a monologue. I know some of you that are in the Zoom chat, so you cannot hide. I may be calling on you directly to share your answers. Just to get started, all right, objectives. You saw, or maybe you didn't see the video that I made for the Cloud Native Hackathon about talking about my personal brand and how I've brought that to the Data on Kubernetes community, which in turn has had its brand defined by that, as well as by all the other people in our community. The other objective is we want you to make progress, right? There's no mistake to make here, right? Just write stuff down. That's all you got to do, right? It's really, really simple. You can reflect on it later. You don't need to make any major decisions in the time we're going to be spending today together. But the idea is just to get these things out in the open, and then it'll be easier to sort of process them. As Kunal mentioned as well, too, you can say like, I'm going to be this, or I'm going to be that. But what, an expression that we like to say is, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. So don't feel like this has to be something static or set in stone. This is something that's going to have its own, development and evolution over time. All right. And another objective as well, too, is to think about, based on the skills and brand that you decide on, how can you use those inside the Data on Kubernetes community, or any community for that matter, whether it's community classroom, whether it's a CNCF. There are a lot of other places out there. You need to find the best place where your skill set can be matched up and where you can have the biggest impact, right? So we want to be thinking about that too. Not just who you are, but how you can use the things that we discover in our conversation today, all right? The rules, all right? Rules are pretty simple, all right? Like I said, you need to have a document open so you can be writing things down. Be nice, be active, be supportive. As you can see, the importance of asking questions. It's so important that I wrote it twice, all right? Please ask questions, all right? Kunal and I are here to help you out. So we want you to get these things out in the open. We can also continue the conversation on Slack. That's no problem either. But we really, really want you to make the most of the time that we're going to be spending together today. So just to make sure that everyone's here, right? Can everyone say hi in the chat and say where you are? All right. Hi.
Yep. See some folks.
Good. All right. We want to, like I said, we want this to be, this is not supposed to be a monologue, right? Good. Yeah. Like the enthusiasm, Yash. Appreciate that. Got to finish strong on Fridays. Yes. All right. Cool. Very nice people here. So like I said as well, too, continue the conversation in Slack. That's why we have the beginner arena channel. That's why we have other channels where you can talk about this stuff. We want this to be not just a solitary process, right, but one where you can interact with other folks, right? So the first exercise, right, really, really quickly, I'm going to give you 1 minute. I want you to write 25 different things about yourself, right? So for example, you can see here with mine. So Bart Farrell is a 36. Yeah, I'm old. 36-year-old person who lives in Spain and plays guitar and blah, 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 blah. Okay. So I'm going to give you 1 minute. Start right now. All right. In your document, I want you to write as many different things as you can write about yourselves. All right. It can be experiences. It can be things that you like, and be things that you don't like, your favorite food, your favorite music, whatever. Get 25 things down in a minute. Right. I'm going to keep talking. Right. But while I'm talking, we got about 45 more seconds. I want you to just get all these ideas down. The first things that come to mind when someone asks you, who are you? How do you define yourself? What is it about you that makes you different? What are the things that you like? What are the things that you dislike? What are you studying? What are you doing? What are things that make you happy? What are things that make you sad? All those different things, right? Get these things down. Got about 30 more seconds. 30 more seconds to get all that stuff down, right? Get all those ideas down. We're going to be using this stuff throughout the course of the conversation today. Just want you to get as many things down as you can as possible. About 15 more seconds. Get all those ideas down. And remember, don't delete your document, right? Make sure that you save all this stuff like while you're progressing, because you're going to be using this for the rest of today. And the idea is this will be a living document that you can reflect on later. All right. So you should be finished. What I would like you to do here in Zoom is just literally copy and paste what you wrote. All right. Copy and paste what you wrote in the chat so we can get a better idea of who you are. I want to see some of these different ideas that you got, different things that you're mentioning, that you have about yourselves. Right. Very, very good. So whenever you're ready, copy and paste that, put this here in the chat. Good. All right.
Got one.
Good. Love to eat and travel. Little TJ fan. Very, very good. All right. So we got different things. Take a look at the stuff that other people wrote. All right. Take a look at the stuff that other people wrote. These are nice resources. We said some people wrote a little bit more than others. Someone likes cricket. Someone's a poet. Wow, we got lots of cool stuff. Someone's an introvert. All right. This is good. We see the diversity of opinions, the diversity of experiences. This is going to be a part and parcel, very integral element when we're talking about personal branding. All right. And also just respecting the fact that, yeah, not everyone's going to be the same. That's the whole point. All right. Good. So let's keep going. Back to my super presentation. Next. All right. So out of the things that you wrote, which three do you think are the most important? Right. Just in your, it's totally subjective, right? Out of all the stuff that you wrote, in terms of if you have to define yourself, which three do you think would be the most important? All right. You wrote down a bunch of different things. If you had to choose three, what would they be? All right. And you can once again share those in the chat too, just so that you can get that. Good. It's interesting to see as well too that some people wrote location, obviously, because Kunal, you're from New Delhi, correct?
Yeah.
Born and raised, right? So like that obviously.
Yeah.
And which part of the city are you from?
South Delhi.
Okay. And what's the difference between being from the South and being from the North? Is there a difference?
No.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah, it's just a city. Like, does not matter. It's not a different state.
Okay, no. I mean in the sense like if you tell someone from South Boston that they're the same as someone from North Boston, well, you can get a lot of trouble.
There's a misconception that South Delhi folks are different and North Delhi folks are different. I personally haven't noticed that. I've seen a lot of memes on it, but it's all a misconception.
It's a natural human thing to try to cause controversy with these kind of things, but but for example, my sister-in-law is from East LA, and if you tell her that it's the same as West LA, anyway, you'll have a lot of problems. But there is
no difference. Like, I don't know why people.
No, but what I'm trying to get at here is that let's just take it for this example though. Being from Delhi is okay, yes, big city, but people that are from, let's say, Mumbai might be a different experience. If we start taking that internationally, being from Paris isn't the same as being from New York. It's not the same as being from a small town as a bigger city. That's what I'm saying when I'm talking about locations, all right? So I'm originally, from Northern California, from a city of 100,000 people, 150,000 people, north of San Francisco. That's obviously had an impact as well too. Anyway, all these different things are going to play a role. Good. So one person said that they like Manchester United. That's interesting. And you wonder what that says about their identity, how that came up. But like I said, it's just fun to see these different ideas and where they come from, right? So just keep this in mind as we're going along about the three things that you chose. Make sure that you're writing all this stuff down in your document. And we have one person saying that West Delhi and South Delhi are different, but not North and South. So anyway, we can get into East and West later. It's all good. That's what makes these things fun. So now that we have that, all right, once again, it's the first, sort of contact with this idea about things that make us unique, right? Because we see that no three things that anybody has are the same, right? We see different responses there. So now let's take a look at the next one, right? Based on those three things that you wrote, based on that, just based on who you are in general, what's the biggest thing that you could do in your life, right? I put these three examples that are very silly examples. I could put a lot more. I put climbing Mount Everest, finding a cure for cancer, winning an Oscar. We could say winning the Cloud Native Hackathon. That could be another one too. That's a very healthy objective to have. But thinking about this, all right, I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Be as ambitious as you want. There are no limits, all right? You could travel to Mars. You could build a rocket. I don't care. Think of anything, all right? But what's the biggest thing? What's the coolest thing that you think you could ever do, all right? And once you have that, I want you to put that in the Zoom chat as well, all right? So once you have that idea, I want you to put those things in there, all right? I want you to put those things in there. What's the coolest, best, most amazing thing that you think you could do, all right? All right, very, very good. So one person would like to give a TED talk, become a billionaire. So we have different things there, all right? Once again, I doubt we're going to see two people the exact same thing. It would be interesting if we did. It doesn't mean that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just something that would be curious. But like I said, there are different ways of looking at this. There are different ways of reaching these goals. All that stuff is fine. I think it's good to have an open mind and be curious about possibilities, right? That's what I'm saying, all right? Think as big as you possibly can, and then you can kind of figure it out. It doesn't mean that you have to do it. It's just that you're entertaining these ideas and being curious about them. Now, so while the rest of you finish, right? Go ahead and finish that up. But what we want to think next, all right? So what's stopping you from doing that? all right, I want you to think about this. You chose something that you would like to do. What is it that's currently in the way of that happening? All right. Is it some things could because you need some time, you need some money, you need to go to another country, you need to establish contact, whatever it is though, but what is it that's stopping you from doing that? Why has that not happened yet? All right. There could be a lot of different reasons, but just think about it. All right. And it doesn't mean that I'm not saying that it's not going to happen. I'm just asking you, what is it that stands between you and that thing that you would like to do? By the way, Kunal, what would you like to do?
I would like to, so any three things?
No, what's the big, well, you can give me three, but what's like the biggest, coolest thing that you would like to be able to do?
The first thing is, okay, I would have to think about that. Okay, but first thing is like I would like to fix I'd like to fix the education system, which I'm already doing, but I'm pretty sure I would not be able to change it completely. If I could be the education minister of India, that'd be great.
Okay. I think you have quite a few people who would support you. But the thing is, with what you're doing with Community Classroom and putting out all this content for free, you already are changing the system. You know what I mean? Like,
but but I can't change the system entirely because that's a really global scale.
No, like, and how many people live in India?
1.4 billion. And
yeah. Like, but that doesn't mean, the thing is, that just means that it's a bigger system, it's a bigger impact to have.
I would definitely change the entire world. Yeah. If I was the educational minister of India. Yeah. But I'm not.
No, not yet. How old are you? 20 what?
22.
Yeah, you got time, man. It's all good. There's no rush. But anyway, I think it's a cool thing to have. All right. So let's see. So some people mention okay, all right. So okay. All right, so things that are getting in the way, some things about public speaking, fear of being judged, because it's really looking at different things. Okay, good. These are all really, really good things. First of all, don't ever worry about anybody else's opinion. The only opinion that matters is your own, all right? If you spend your life just trying to make other people happy, I mean, it's good to make other people happy, don't get me wrong, but like, it's okay to be, there's a difference, the healthy balance between being selfless and selfish. You can be selfish in a good way, all right? That doesn't necessarily mean being, egotistical or always, not being considerate to other people, all right? But in order to take care of other people, you also need to take care of yourselves, all right? So that's good. Let's see, introvert speaking in public. The thing is, that's not a big deal, all right? It's interesting that people are mentioning public speaking. Most people are terrified of public speaking. I think it was statistically shown that people would rather swim with sharks than speak in public. So if you don't like speaking in public, it's not so much a fear of speaking in public, it's a fear of looking bad in public, or that you're going to be judged, or that you're going to be made to feel less, right? That's okay, it's totally normal. The best way to work on that is to work on it. As Kunal likes to say, the best way to get involved is to get involved. So if you want to get good at public speaking, it doesn't mean that you need to start, doing podcasts, 3 hours a week or things like that. Just start small things. Find things that you like, that you enjoy, that you're interested in, and find ways to talk about that. There are lots of different ways to do that, but it's totally normal. It's totally healthy to have a reasonable sort of fear of public speaking. It's very natural. All right. Good. All right. So we got some other things. Very, very good. Good. It's good to keep these things in there so that you're always thinking as big as you possibly can. All right. Don't put any limits. Now, what we're going to look at next thing here. A lot of times, yes, and I understand there can be certain technical things, but a lot of times it's not really a question of ability, all right? It's a question of belief, right? And why do you not believe in yourselves, and why should you believe in yourselves more, right? A lot of times we have this outward sort of thing of, oh, so-and-so is better than me, and everyone's better than me, and all this kind of stuff. And also sometimes a misconception that great things are achieved without having to work hard. Some people have natural abilities. It's absolutely true. I always use the example of Jimi Hendrix because I really like playing guitar. Jimi Hendrix used to play guitar for like 16, 17 hours a day, right? While he did naturally have really big hands and obviously had a good ear, and some people don't have that. Some people would have to work a lot harder to get to his level. There's always going to be an element of hard work involved, but in order for that hard work to happen, there has to be belief, right? You have to believe that it's possible. If you don't believe that it's possible, you're not going to do anything, right? The work will not be happening. So you always keep that in there. There is an element of ability, but in order for that ability to increase, there has to be the belief that these things are possible. So that's why that's why I asked that question about what are the biggest things that you think you could do, all right? And why should you believe in yourselves, right? So why, and it just, is this, some crazy idea that's like, oh, it's really cool to say that? No, there are, deeper things behind this. Once again, for the folks that are in YouTube, if you want to join the conversation directly, you can do so. Just jump into our Slack. And I dropped a link in there if you want to do that. Next, all right.
We have quite a few like interesting ones in the chat as well.
Yep. Oh, no. No. The stuff in the chat's great. And I really appreciate the people in the chat too, being open and honest. The more open and honest and transparent you are with yourselves, the much better and deeper the work that you can do on your personal brand, right? It's much better to do that. You gain nothing by trying to, hide behind something. Yeah.
I'm just seeing how many tabs you have open.
Oh yeah. You want to see how many tabs I have open? Oh yeah. I wonder how many tabs you have open. Anyway, though, good.
None, believe it or not.
None. Oh wow. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Okay. So actually this is pretty average in terms of tabs. Yeah. Sometimes it gets crazier. Sometimes I have multiple windows. Anyway, let's go to the next point though. All right. So if we're thinking about what, like I said, talking about beliefs and talking about abilities, I mentioned this in my Cloud Native Hackathon video, but particularly because most of you are young, all right? I think everybody here, Kunal, you're 22, which means you're probably one of the older people in this call next to me, because some people are probably younger. And there's a lot of times it really bothers me, to see that young people discount their experiences, don't give themselves credit because of the fact that they're young, all right? But if you think about it, we're just gonna do some very basic math here. We could do a lot more as well. But what I explained in my video is that despite your age, you've had lots and lots of experiences, right? And if we want to break that down just in terms of time, right, there are 1,440 minutes in a day, right? So if we start multiplying that out per week, per month, right, this is just minutes, right? And if you want to multiply that by how many years you've been alive, it's a lot of minutes, but more specifically, I want to say it's not about the minutes, it's about the moments, right? So thinking about all the different things that you've done, every step that you've taken, all right, since you learned how to walk, all the people that you've met through your family, all your experiences through school, all these different experiences actually give you a lot more. Let's not use the word experience, but experiences, all right? You have lots and lots of experiences that you've gone through. That means making decisions, that means reacting, that means emotions. All those different things do prepare you in a lot of ways that you probably don't give yourself credit for, because society tells you that until you're working, that you're a child. And that's completely not true, right? That's absolutely ridiculous. I'm 36 years old. There are people that are 55 years old that act more like children than children. So don't think that just because someone's older that it really means they once again, by default, they've had a longer period of time to have experiences, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they've really learned from it, that they're cultivating this in a deeper way, all right? And Kunal can tell you, it seems like at the age of 22, Kunal's had probably 5 lifetimes in one. But what do you think about that?
I think in my experience, I've realized experiences and knowledge is not just related to time. It's also related to geography. So if you have an international exposure, like getting involved with communities around the world, you will get a lot more experiences. Obviously, you'll get like a lot more learnings, and you'll see how the outside world functions. So yeah, I think definitely time is a valid parameter. Like, you have been a software engineer, let's say for 20 years, obviously you may have experience, like 20 years of experience, but the other factor that is also very crucial is geography.
I think
at least now that communities are really evolving and people are, like, remote work is getting so popular. So, and you also get to learn how different communities function. So when I realized how the job market is outside India, I didn't even apply for any company here in India. And it's not like saying don't apply to India or don't do Indian roles. That's not what I'm saying. The thing is that I would be happy, but the thing is there's a lot of bias in India, right? So I got nothing to lose. If you are having bias against like colleges or rankings or whatever, and this is the reason you see like so many Indian like entrepreneurs, they become CEOs and stuff. Google, Microsoft, now Twitter, and so many other other companies. So that's the thing. Like when you come here, like you'll see like there's a lot of bias, and that's why people like me and so many other talented people, they try to look for opportunities where their skills are appreciated, right? And then there comes into picture remote work, remote companies in the United States, the Europe, whatever. So in no way I'm saying that don't apply over here or whatever. No, I'm not saying that. But the thing is, if you find yourself feeling this bias, which you probably will if you are not from a very good college, then I believe open source and remote work can definitely open a lot of roles for you, because you tried to work and you tried to apply and you tried to serve. But if they don't want you, well, then fine, go to people who want you. That's as simple as it can get.
I think that's an amazing explanation. I'm really glad that you say it too, because it has a lot of credibility for the people that are with us today. And with that in mind is that, like you said, it's not a problem if you want to work in India. That's great. That's wonderful. But don't limit yourself to only that as an opportunity. Don't only see the world with those eyes. I really like that, because I completely agree. And I also, it's funny, is that not in the next slide, but in the slide after that, I exactly focus on what you mentioned about international experience. The more that you can interact with people from different countries, the better. Like it's like going to university for 50 years in terms of, no, I really mean that. Because
no, that's true.
You get exposed to how people approach solving problems. You get to see other ways of doing things. You get to question your own way of doing things and understand that what seems natural to you in one environment, in another environment might not seem natural at all. And that can be a good thing as well, because sometimes people won't be aware of something that you're very aware of. And it could be hard skills, it could be soft skills. So that's also why in the beginning asking about, what part of the world everybody is from, that's an interesting point of reflection. But anyway, I'm really, really glad that you mentioned that. I just want to double check, make sure we're good on. Good. We're just getting lots of nice feedback in our Zoom chat. That's good. So that's good. But like I said, you have a lot more experience and you're probably giving yourselves credit for. I also really liked what Kunal mentioned as well, because I've seen this because of following Kunal in Twitter, of understanding better, particularly in the case of India, how the education system works as in terms of going into the job market. And it can be quite rigid about, if you go to these kind of universities, you get these kind of jobs. And open source allows you to break out of all of that, right? And communities as well, is that people get to see you for who you are as a person and the skills that you have as a person, and you can contribute in lots of different ways to make those skills visible, right? You get to decide how you do that. It's like, if I'm really good at this, then I should probably, channel my energy and focus on these set of things in order to highlight that. But anyway, I think there's some really, really good points. Now, so we're talking about experiences. We know that you've done lots of stuff, all right? What have been your 3 biggest life experiences up until now? And what did you learn from them? All right. You don't need to, you can write as much as you want, but in the Zoom chat, I want you to put this in your document, but also in the Zoom chat, you can put, like I said, you can put whatever you want. You can say, when I don't know, when I learned how to drive a car and why, all right? Because it was very difficult or because it was very fun. I don't care, but an experience and the learning that you got from it, right? These can be good experiences. They can also be difficult or challenging experiences. I personally think that in my case, that I've learned much more from difficult experiences than I have. Well, I mean, I would say challenging or hard situations than let's say, big success stories. But I think behind every success story, there's a story of struggle. So you can you can keep that in mind too. But let's think about this, Kunal, in your case, what's been a big life experience that you've had, and what'd you learn from it?
Yeah, the time I failed JEE twice. So for those, like, if you don't know, JEE is the most important examination to get into an Indian college, the top Indian colleges. So I failed that twice because I was not good at physics and chemistry. So what did I learn from it? What I learned was that no one cares. It doesn't matter which college you're from if you have the skills. So that's what I learned. Second, open source, my first contribution. What I learned from it, I learned that the community is always there to help you, and open source is for everyone. The third biggest experience of my life, KubeCon San Diego, because that's my first international exposure, met some amazing folks. What I learned from that is that just so many opportunities are there in DevOps and cloud native. So I took that road then, and now I'm here working at Sivo.
Yep. Great outline. I really like how you started with the first one too, about, that you had probably spent several years of your life being conditioned to believe that this is the make or break.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is completely proving that it's not, that it wasn't.
Not just me, not just me. I know many folks who are doing great work who did not do good in their JEE or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's no one cares. Yeah.
Good points. All right. Love it. Now, so in my particular case, like I said, just my personal experience, I put these 3. All right. So horrible breakup at the age of 23, right? When I was about your age. But I learned a lot from that. It was devastating when it happened. And I spent literally like way too long, having that very difficult situation kind of haunting me. But I learned about patience. I learned about reflection. I learned about forgiveness. I learned about support. It's often in bad times when you really see who your real friends are in terms of people who will show up and help you out. And that was one of those situations. Second one, which I mentioned in the Cloud Native Hackathon video, is having a family member with a chronic illness. That's been the case for the last 24 years. But once again, I've learned a lot about support, creativity, because in difficult situations, when you have limited resources, you have to kind of rely on whatever you have. And which also directly ties into resilience. Like I said, it's been a very challenging, oftentimes very uncomfortable, frustrating situation, but we've all learned a lot about ourselves through it. And it's made me a better person, I would say. And then going along with what Kunal mentioned previously, like I said, I put this in here, is the international factor. I'm very lucky that I've been able to live abroad for the last 13 years. But nowadays, there are lots of ways to travel without traveling, and communities are a way to do that. You can instantly, that's what's super cool about the CNCF. You jump into a meeting and you're with someone from Cameroon, you're with somebody from Mexico, you're with somebody from Japan, from the US, from the UK, from India, from wherever. And so I really, really encourage you to take advantage of that. If you can learn another language, I'm sure a lot of you already speak multiple languages, but if you can learn another language too, it opens up even more doors, as been in my case with Spanish, which has been really, really cool. Like I said, it's taught me flexibility, understanding, perspective. So now I want to take a look at the Zoom chat and see what some of you have written. Very, very good. Okay.
You said the same thing. JE.
Yeah. That's really interesting. That's a really big
Don't worry if you fail JE.
Yeah.
After a point, no one cares.
Yeah.
If you have the skills, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah. This is good. But anyway, keep this stuff going. Keep writing in your documents. All right. Now, next thing. So things that you naturally do well. All right. So like I said earlier, this is different for everybody, right? But something that, let's say, for other people is maybe more difficult, something that you can do, and this is really important for the work world. All right. If someone starts telling you that they're going to charge based on the hour, try to be careful. All right. Because for example, what Kunal can do, let's say if we're talking about creating a course, all right, maybe for a normal person to create a course, it might take 100 hours and Kunal can do it in 20. Does that make it work?
It's taking me a lot of time as well.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I'm sure it does. I'm not saying you can snap your fingers and a course appears, but I'm saying for other people might get really frustrated. They might give up in the process. You've obviously done this a lot. So you've got once again, a lot of experience. What I'm saying is that it might be easier for him. It doesn't make it less valuable, right? That he can do it faster. In some ways it makes it more valuable. But that's not about that. It's just something that you realize that for you comes relatively naturally, right? It could be doing research. It could be having a conversation with a friend. It could be cooking. I don't care. Some people are naturally good at cooking. Some people are terrible. Some people could study cooking, for 4 years and not be able to make any food. I'm not a terribly good cook, but I'm not a terribly bad one. So anyway, I'm kind of in the middle. But anyway, so what are 3 things that you do well naturally and that you enjoy doing? All right, that you're also like, what? Because some things maybe you do it, it's very easy for you, but you don't really enjoy it. It's not going to happen. So try to think about things that you do and that you enjoy doing. Kunal, what would be one in your case?
What I enjoy doing?
That you do well naturally and that you enjoy doing.
Teaching.
Okay. And how did you discover that?
Oh, I started volunteering and workshops in colleges, community events, and that's when I realized I'm pretty good at teaching and I love it as well.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Another thing
that I'm really good at and I enjoy doing.
Yep.
Does it have to be work related or anything?
No. It can be anything. I do not expect this to be work or academic related. Yeah.
Gaming and reading documentation. I'm pretty good at that.
Okay. All right. Very, very good. Gaming and reading documentation. Interesting though. And the thing is, with gaming, what are skills that are important for gaming?
Reflexes, understanding how the axis, the camera works. Yeah, that's it.
No, yeah, reflexes, understanding orientation. We can also say decision making because you do have to make decisions really quickly. Once again,
problem solving.
That's what problem solving. I mentioned that because a lot of times people might see oh, that's totally useless. That's not true. It's not true at all. There are a lot of, it's always just a question of how you can apply it from one thing to another, right? So in my particular case, running. That sounds really silly, but naturally it's something that's most people hate running. I also started doing it when I was quite young. So it's something that for me, like doesn't sound, for other people, they'd have to motivate themselves a lot to go running. In my case, like, yep, go outside. I listen to a Kubernetes podcast and I run around my neighborhood. Public speaking, there are different reasons for this. I'm really lucky that when I was younger, my parents put me in theater classes. So that made me more comfortable being in front of people and doing silly things and all that kind of stuff. My dad is also a public speaking trainer. So that's also kind of helpful too. Growing up in that sort of environment. And then writing rap lyrics, for example, like it's something that I do relatively well. But I also have been practicing in a way since I was a child because of writing poetry and writing raps and things like that. But it's something that for other people might take them longer, but it's something that I do enjoy doing because it's kind of like a game, right? Where you have to figure it out. Now let's take a look and see what answers some of the other people wrote here. Making web applications, playing table tennis, solving people or friends' problems. All right. Painting, debating. Wow, very, very good. All right. So we got a bunch of different stuff here. Okay. Good. I like it. All right. These are things to keep in mind though. All right. And also you have to decide how you want to make these skills visible. Is it going to be through your LinkedIn profile? Is it going to be through some kind of content that you're going to create? Decide that. All right. But it's one thing if you're good at it, other people need it's helpful if other people know. All right. So how can you make other people aware of the skills that you have? And this is one of the things that Kunal often mentions about learning in public. All right. You can share the stuff that you're learning, encouraging other people to do the same thing. All right. Good. Now, what about things that you're bad at? All right. So what are things that you're not good at or things that take you more time than maybe somebody else who finds those things to be a little bit easier? So Kunal, in your case, what might be one thing that you're not so good at naturally, or that takes you more time, or that can be frustrating?
Front end.
Front end. All right. So not a fan of front end.
No.
And okay. But, and what is it about that makes it difficult for you?
It's just like I don't have fun doing it.
You don't have fun doing it. You don't find it rewarding. And you find that maybe it takes a long time or just things about it that you don't enjoy.
Yeah, it's just like CSS properties and everything just doesn't, I don't like it.
It's not your thing. That's okay.
And that's why I'm becoming a really big fan of no code tools. Just drag and drop and it makes everything for you. I think that's great.
Okay. Right. Okay. That's interesting as well too. Is it based on a problem, then what's my solution? That's good. But like I said, there are lots of different things. Everybody's bad at something. It's very, very important to be honest and open and embrace that. Right. That's a really important thing.
Yeah. I'm not good at like graphics or whatever. If you, none of my thumbnails I have made. Yeah. Every single thumbnail on my channel has been made by my friend Rahul. Shout out to Rahul. But
that's it, is that find a way to compensate for that skill set, like delegate that as much as possible. If you know that you're not good at something and you have the ability to delegate, sometimes we can't delegate and sometimes we just have to do it. If someone asks, like Kunal, if somebody asked me to do a drawing, I would be like, I hope you want something abstract because it's going to look terrible. But these things, yeah, I'm also very lucky to work with amazing artists. Shout out to Angel. So yeah, this is a good point. In my particular case, all right, I wrote these three. That I can be quite disorganized. So if things are really, really detail oriented, it's much better to have somebody else. I'm very lucky to work with project managers and I love them both. Thank you, Kenzie. Thank you, Iken. People that are very, very organized and are very, very disciplined about having all these things put together. That's great. 2 and 3 kind of relate to each other. Sporadic, meaning that I can find myself getting involved in too many things and then have to tell myself, hey, wait a minute, this isn't sustainable. I'm trying to get better at that. I feel like I am getting better at that. I see this happen with a lot of young people as well too. And I try to tell them like, you can't do 14 things at once. It's not that you're, I'm not saying you're not a talented person. It just, nobody does that. Like it doesn't work. Like it will eventually become too much and it won't be sustainable. How do you find that out? By, overstepping your limits and going too far. But don't be afraid to say no. It's not the end of the world. In terms of contributions and interns in our community, we much prefer people who can do consistent work rather than I show up and do a bunch of stuff and then I disappear for 3 months. It's fine, but don't create expectations that you're going to be doing something if you can't do it, right? And impulsive, same kind of thing, is that sometimes I will find out about something new that I really, really like, and I'll just jump right into it and forget about other things that maybe I had previously committed to, and then I have to be careful about that. And there are about 40 more things that I'm not good at that my wife could tell you about, but she's in the other room working on something else. But like I said, it's okay to not be good at everything, right? And it's much better to be honest about those things. So if somebody asks you to do something, you can contextualize it. You say, I can do this, but if you have someone else who's better at it, it's not to say that you just reject tasks or that you're lazy. All right. But you need to, controlling expectations in terms of what you can do. All right. Saying, I've never done this before. All right. So you can't expect, a masterpiece. Right. I can try and give it my best shot. Now let's see what some people wrote. All right. All right. Keeping patience. All right. If Kubernetes is something that's difficult for you and keeping patience is difficult, you got to work on that because you got to be patient to learn Kubernetes. What we always try to say is just enjoy the process, right? Don't, nobody gets it like this, right? No, it takes time, all right? In 5 to 10 years from now, learning Kubernetes will probably be a lot easier, or maybe you won't even have to learn it because it'll just be in the background, right? So dancing, saying no to people, bad handwriting, all right, that's okay, all right? Dancing is something you can work on, but some people just don't like it, and that's okay too. Kunal, are you a good dancer?
Never danced in my life.
Never danced in your life. I try to dance as often as possible. The pandemic has been very hard for those of us who like to dance a lot at home. But anyway, like I said, just different things that the different people like. Let's take a look to make sure our friends on YouTube don't feel abandoned. All right, very, very good. All right, so somebody else agrees about dancing. That's interesting. So let's go back. All right, so going back to the skills. Do you have, benchmarks, references, or goals established? It doesn't mean it has to be super, super specific. But going back to, for example, the person who mentioned giving a TED Talk, right? Kunal, if someone wants to give a TED Talk, what do you think are things that they should probably do first?
I gave a TED Talk this year.
I know, that's why it's kind of fitting.
But the thing is, I didn't really plan for it. It sort of just happened. Like they reached out to me. It wasn't like there wasn't any application process or whatever. So they reached out to me. They were like, can you do a TED Talk? And I was like, sure. So I believe like what helped me was personal branding and just being active on socials and sharing what I do. And they wanted a speaker for open source. So they found me. So I think like find your thing. Like, what is my thing? Bart, what is my thing? Like from your point of view.
Wow, your thing is, I would say, this is just perception, but and also because a lot of things have happened quite quickly. But what I would say is making knowledge more accessible. That's what I would say. Yeah.
So that's it. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Like your personal brand should speak what you do. Like what kind of a person you are. What are you known for?
And this.
What are you looking for?
Yeah, and I understand. In your case, though, as well as that, obviously you'd built this up so you're very easy to find, and they know who you are, and they have examples, and they've seen what you've done. For someone who perhaps doesn't have that background, in the sense of like, if you want to be able to give a TED Talk, you probably want to get experience giving talks in other places.
Yeah,
right?
Start slow.
That's it. Exactly. So like start, find a topic that you know really well and that you really, really like, and just make a video about that and share it. And guess what? And you can probably relate to this. Do you remember the first pieces of content that you created for YouTube? The first videos that you made?
First video I made was on a different channel. It was Python.
Okay. I'm just saying is that what I'm talking about because generally when you talk about first, we laugh because we're like, oh, wow. In my case, thinking about like first experiences, they were generally not very good, like wasn't very high quality, but you need those experiences to get to the other ones. All right. Like it's very uncommon that it starts out with like a total killer bang, 5 million views and things like that. That's once again, enjoy the process. Don't be hard on yourself that you make a video and you put it on Twitter and 2 people watch it and they're both your friends. I mean, like, or if one of them is you with a fake profile, that's okay too. But like I said, just don't kill yourselves over that. It takes time, all right? It takes time, and it's going to take practice of doing something. To get to that TED Talk, you want to think that, okay, I don't want to give a TED Talk. I want to give 10 talks in order to be able to have enough of a brand to give a TED Talk, right? So think about it that way. So based on your goals, your references, stuff that you would like to do, what would be the next step that you could take to get there, right? So for example, if I want to be a content creator, I'll start by doing a Twitter Spaces on my Twitter account or participating in other people's Twitter Spaces and trying to get practice talking. Those are things too, all right? So and I'm not saying that all of you have to want to be content creators. I'm just using that as an example, right? But the idea is don't feel like you have to, climb the entire mountain. First, you just, start working your way up the hill. So let's see what some of you put here. Let's see though. Come on, people in the chat, can you please write down what a goal is that you have and what would be the step that, the next step that you would take, assuming that this is a goal related to something that you enjoy doing, that you would like to be doing more, right? So think about that, get that down there. You don't need, like I said, if you want to play in the World Cup, it probably isn't as simple as, calling the national team and saying, hey, is there a spot for me? All right. There are a lot of other things that are going to be involved in that. Same thing with music, right? Any musician who's really good will tell you that it's thousands of hours of practice, right? And that's okay. There is time. You just have to decide how you're going to spend it, right? Good. Let's keep moving. Regarding mistakes, right? As I already mentioned, 2 quotes on mistakes. A person who never made a mistake never tried anything new, right? From Albert Einstein. It's gonna happen, right? It's gonna happen, and it's okay. This I put the word fail in here, but I don't like it because of the negative connotation it has. But it shouldn't have negative connotations because it's just part of the learning process, right? No one ever learned how to ride a bike without falling down. You know how many, I forget, they always quote this about how many times a child falls before they learn how to walk, but it's like hundreds or thousands of times, right? So don't worry about that and just assume that it's part of the process. The problem is, or for me, the real failure is that when you don't achieve your goal and you don't take the time to reflect and say, hey, what happened here? That's why we have retrospectives. That's why we have postmortems to see what went wrong here. And don't get aggressive playing the blame game. If you talk to SREs, they will talk about doing postmortems that involve never blaming a person, but only looking for defects in the process that can be improved, right? So think about that when you go through something and the outcome, the result isn't exactly what you wanted, but think about, okay, in order to get that result, what do I need to change in the process in order to get there, right? And then the second quote from Vince Lombardi, famous American football coach: if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying hard enough, right? It means that you're not stepping out of your comfort zone. If you don't want to say stepping out of your comfort zone, we can say expand your comfort zone, however you want to call it. But these are the things that we're talking about when we're framing this element of trying and failing, right? Kunal, can you think of any mistakes that you've made along the way or things that you've learned from?
Mistakes. Yeah, I think like taking too many responsibilities at once.
Yep. But like I said, it's something generally you only find out when it's too many because you go over that limit. And then you realize, okay, in the future, before I say yes, basically it's like, I'm already saying no. And for that no to become a yes, it's got to be really, really clear what's being expected from me. So I think that's a good point, taking too many responsibilities. I want to hear from folks in the chat. What do we got here? All right, the next steps that you would be taking. This is very, very good. Good. Like it. Now, what I want you to do, I'm going to drop this directly in the chat. So making a brand statement for yourselves, right? So what I often tell people to think about is that you are the answer to what question, right? You are the answer to what question. So for example, in the case of Kunal, who can make education more accessible? Kunal Kushwaha. Right? Or how do you make education more accessible? Through the drive, determination, organizational skills, and creativity, and outreach and networking skills that Kunal has, right? Think about that. Once again, you don't have to be like him. You don't have to be like me. You are the answer to a very specific question, right? That's it. But be thinking about that. And this is in a sense if we're even thinking about, applying for a job. If a company's saying, we need a person who can do this, this, and this. What do you match up with, right? Based on the skill sets that we've been mentioning. I'm gonna copy this here in the chat, and I want you to just fill in that sentence. I want you to fill in that sentence with your skill set, right? The world is full of challenges nowadays. We could frame this a lot more. We could frame this much more specifically, saying open source projects often can't find people who are good at technical documentation. If you're looking for a person who has the skills who is good at writing and likes to do whatever, like I said, you fill that in with your information, right? Imagining that you're almost like an advertisement for yourself, right? So how would you do that? Do that right now. And then please share your answers. Share your answers so we can take a look at that. What do we got? Come on, people. We're almost done. We got like 10 more minutes. We want to finish strong. This is really important to do though, all right? And you can do this and you can expand on it later, right? There's no rush with any of this. That's why I want you to be writing all this stuff down. But be thinking about that. And how you answer this today won't necessarily be the same as how you answered in a month or 6 months or a year from now. That's why it's just good to keep this stuff present. On the flip side, all right, so let's, in terms of if I had to answer this question, if you are looking for a person who's very energetic, enjoys connecting with people from lots of different parts of the world, enjoys believing in people and helping them take themselves to the next level, then definitely contact me, all right? And I really mean that. If you need somebody to do that, definitely contact me because I'd be happy to be involved. If you're looking for someone who's extremely detail oriented and is absolutely obsessed with technical details, I'm definitely not the right person, but I can definitely find you other people who can do that. And that's a very valuable skill as well. If you can be honest and tell people, you know what, I'm not the right person. I actually got off the phone just before this call with a company that's looking for someone for something that's related to community, but in a much more technical capacity. Guess what? I'm not the right person. And I'm not going to waste their time and tell them, yeah, let's have another interview, or, this is my price, or things like that, because that would be silly. I know other people who are much more qualified for that, and I can happily pass them along, right? So in the second one, it's also very important to know if you're looking for someone who can do what. Kunal, what are you not the answer to? If they're looking for someone who can do something that you're not good at, what would be something that you would say, not for me then?
Mobile development.
Okay, mobile development, not your thing. So front end, graphic design, and mobile, not your thing. That's okay, right? It's not necessary for everybody. And mobile development is quite niche, actually, to be honest. Let's take a look and see what people get. Come on, share your answers. Don't be afraid. Very, very good. Risk taker, enjoys talking, understanding the importance. Good. And with these answers, all right, we could be as hard skill oriented in terms of like technical stuff, what Kunal mentioned about mobile development, or I don't care, deep learning or machine learning or whatever you want to put, or things that are more on the soft skill side, right? Soft skills are extremely important too. So always try to keep that in terms of keep a bit of a balance. Now we are at the very end. So next thing that we need you to do, right, for your homework, I want you to take the info that you gathered, right? Hopefully you wrote down a bunch of stuff. What should people know? Right? What is the information that people maybe don't know about you that you think that they should? How can you make this visible? And where do you make this visible? You might be really good at something, but if other people don't know about it, it's pretty difficult to move forward with those skills and abilities, right? So once again, we are not saying that you need to have a YouTube channel or that you need to do this. You have to decide based on the skills that you have, how you're going to make them visible. Is it by participating in a SIG and a CNCF? Is it by starting a blog about open source? Is it by joining a community and getting a leadership role and being actively participating in the stuff that they're doing? You have to decide that, right? Based on my skill set, how can I make it more visible? How can I put it into action? How can I let other people know what I'm doing? This is what you need to be thinking about, all right? So write that down. When you have that written, please share it with me in our Slack, all right? Then I also want you to be thinking about photos that best represent you, a photo that shows you doing what you do really well, or just a photo that shows the thing that you like to do, all right? That's fine, but think about something that would represent that. Then the next thing that we want you to do after that is to share this with somebody. It's not good just to keep this to yourselves. And sometimes we're so critical of ourselves that it's difficult for us to talk about the things that we do well. So if you're not sure about that, ask a family member or a friend, hey, what do you think about this? I have the feeling that I might be good at this, but I'm not 100% sure. Can you validate this or can you give me your feedback? Definitely do that, all right? So once you've taken it and shared it with a friend and you can make some adjustments, put that on LinkedIn. Make it easy for people to know who you are. You can also have some of this in your LinkedIn descriptions. You can also have this in, pinned to your bio and Twitter. I don't care. Decide how you want to make it visible though, and make it visible. It's very annoying for me when people complain about not getting a job or not being where they want to be. And you say, well, how many jobs have you applied to? How many networking events have you attended? How many times have you tried to interact with new people? And they're like, well, I haven't. It's like, well, then how can you be angry about not having any results, right? If you don't put yourself out there, it's very difficult for people to know who you are. As I mentioned in my video, there are 7.9 billion people in the world, right? There's only one you, and it's your job to make you visible, right? So how are you going to do that? That's pretty much it. Kunal, is there anything that we didn't mention that we should talk about regarding personal branding? Secrets, tips, advice?
There are no secrets because personal branding means learning in public. So no secrets in public. I think like it depends like on person to person, and you will find what works for you when you get started.
That's a good point. And also, once again, this is the process, right? You're the first way you do it, maybe you're like, actually, you know what, that's not it. That's okay. Doesn't mean that you stop everything. Just change, right? Iterate along the go. Always try to think of things that can die quickly so that you can iterate faster, right? That's really, really important. And don't expect that how you're doing it now is exactly how you're going to be doing it in 2 years or 5 years from now, but it's just something that you need to keep in mind, right? And for example, we could do a whole nother session just about how to format your LinkedIn profile or your Twitter profile. Like those are different things as well too, because those are places where people can see your brand. Also your GitHub, there are different places where people can see you, but just be thinking about this, right? What do I want people to see and what should I be showing them so that they see it? Good. Well, that was good. Any questions before we finish from folks in the audience? Anything that we didn't cover that maybe you would like us to cover in another session? Totally open to ideas, suggestions, possibilities. Very, very good. Anything before we finish? You know that we can continue the conversation in Slack. I'm looking forward to seeing what you've all written. Continue to be active in initiatives like the Cloud Native Hackathon. This is such a good way to, once again, for companies to see who you are. This is why companies participate, all right? They're trying to get visibility, but they want to be able to interact with up and coming talent and see what's going on and get your feedback as well. Never hesitate to interact. The worst thing that you can happen if you send somebody a message is that they don't respond, in which case you can send another one. If they don't respond, then maybe you can leave them alone. But don't be afraid about any of that. So we have a question about this is the intern process for the DOK community. This process, by you doing this, makes it much easier for us to know who you are and what you're good at doing, all right? So for the folks who are applying to be interns in the DOK community, this exercise gives us a lot more information about who you are, the stuff that you like doing, the stuff that you don't like doing. We don't want to, there are some situations where you have to say, hey, if you don't like this, then this may not be the place for you. And I will happily recommend other communities where you can go because our community is unique and the stuff that we're working on is unique as well. But like I said, this is, it's an open conversation, but we wanted to do this to give folks the opportunity that are in the application process to be able to sit down and really think about who they are, what are the things that they want to do, what are the things that they like to do, and how we as a community can help empower you to do that. Whether or not you become an intern doesn't matter, all right? We want this to be a place where your gifts are welcome and where we can find ways to help get those involved and activate you in a way that you enjoy, all right? So yeah, thanks everybody for attending. Kunal, is there any updates or announcements about the Cloud Native Hackathon for the next few days people should know?
Sunday is like the last day to the hackathon. So you have the entire day tomorrow and the entire day on Sunday to submit your projects. You can submit to multiple categories. If you haven't already watched the kickoff video, please do so. I've mentioned everything over there. On Discord, there are dedicated sponsor channels where you can find links to all the resources. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. And we'll be doing more Cloud Native hackathons. This one has been super amazing in response. I'm getting so many messages from folks from the community that this is great and everything. So now we'll get much more support and we'll do much like an even bigger event next year. So this is my plan, like to do Cloud Native Hackathon regularly. And I launched the second version of Community Classroom's website, so you can check it out. I'd highly recommend not to spam. People are spamming like, when will the DSA course be completed? When is the DevOps bootcamp coming? I really appreciate the enthusiasm, but you also have to take the hint that I'm not replying. So
take the hint, everybody. Take the hint.
Yeah. It's just not going to change. Like, it does not matter if you ask me one time or 100 times, I'm not replying. So you're wasting your own time. I'm not even seeing the messages. I would love to reply. I would love to reply to every single DM. The only reason I'm not replying is I get a lot of messages. That's the only reason. I get like 100 every day. So I don't have the bandwidth. Like, obviously, like you get the idea, 100 messages every day. So for people who ask, Kunal, why you don't reply to DMs, that is the only reason. I get a lot of those. So what is the solution? I have the solution also. It's not like I'm leaving you hanging. No, the solution is ask questions in public. Mentorship should be decentralized. I'm not the only one who can help you. Get involved in open source. You'll get so many people who will help you out. So decentralized mentorship is the solution to this problem. So you don't need my help because there are people who are much more senior than me and more experienced than me that you can find in CNCF. Directly take mentorship from them. I make videos that those are pretty helpful to you. So I'm also helping and they can also help. So yeah, please ask relevant questions. Don't spam with messages like when will the courses continue or whatever. I was very sick. Like I had my, even right now you can see sore throat. So that's why I could not record lectures. Every single lecture takes like an entire day to record, like 4-hour long video. It's very time consuming, but don't worry, I will complete the courses, and new courses will be launching, like the DevOps one and machine learning, by next month.
Very, very good. This is all good points, all great stuff. And like you said as well too, there are lots of people who can help you out in the cloud native world. There are many fish in the sea. All right. If you want, Kunal and I are both CNCF ambassadors. There are tons of like I said, there are other people who aren't ambassadors who are amazing mentors as well. Just get once again, the best way to get involved is get involved. All right. And don't think
you ask me question. Go ahead.
There is no one magic secret that, if I contact this person, it's going to change everything. All right. No. Yeah. And don't think that way. All right. If you think that way, you're going to get really frustrated. Yeah.
Now, if you want to open source guidance or whatever, Kevalya can help you. Vanshika can help you. Kunal K can help you. Kunal V can help you. Kunal K is me. I can help you as well, but I get a lot of messages. So ask questions in public, ask questions to other people, and let me worry about the courses.
Sounds good, man. All right, Kunal. Well, have a wonderful weekend. Thanks so much for joining us today. I had a very good time. Thanks to all the folks in the audience. Keep this active. All right. Don't just let this be something for today. This is something you need to be thinking about for the rest of your professional lives. All right. Stay in touch and have a good one. Enjoy the Cloud Native Hackathon. Take it easy.